Hey everyone. In this video we will look at the AirfoilLabs King Air 350 pre-flight checklist, also known as the before engine start checklist at my corporate flight department. A link to my flight department's checklist is in the video description below. As we go over the checklist, I will sprinkle in some systems knowledge so you know what is happening when you flip a particular switch. This may be of some benefit if you fly with system failures enabled and/or if you are simply curious about the King Air 350 aircraft systems. Alright, before engine start checklist. Docs, ICAMP, deferrals, check. This is the administrative side of flying. We will check for the required documents such as the airworthiness and registration certificates and maintenance paperwork such as airworthiness release. We will consider this checked. Toilet ninth valve open. The toilet ninth valve is part of the ninth seat in the very back of the airplane. In short, we would verify that the valve is open so pressure does not build up inside of the waste unit during flight. Since it is not modeled in X-Plan 11, we will consider this done. Aft and forward exit signs test, reset. Check the sign illumination by setting the switch to on/test to test the charge in the battery. Then set the switch back to off reset to turn the light off. Do the same thing for the sign in the rear of the cabin. Emergency exits unlocked. We would ensure that these lock levers are in the up or flush position prior to flight to allow removal of the doors from the outside in the event of an emergency. When they are flipped down, they are considered locked. Next, remove the control locks. Parking brake set. BAT bus to norm. ESIS does not apply to this King Air 350 variant. Oxygen system checked on. On the center console, we would ensure that the passenger manual dropout is pushed off. The system ready is pulled on. We would then check each mask for continuous flow. And then stow the masks appropriately. Next, we would determine the amount of oxygen available based on the gauge in the flight deck, and then referencing a chart in one of our manuals. We will consider this complete. Left and right circuit breakers checked. Pilot subpanel checked and set. Ensure all the switches except the BAT bus, which is in the norm position, are in the off position. Landing gear control down. Power, props, and condition levers idle, forward, and cutoff. Flaps up. Elevator trim 2 units nose up. Aileron and rudder trim neutral. Co-pilot subpanel checked and set. Ensure all the switches and dials are in the off position. Blower, cockpit, and cabin auto. Because this checklist is designed for a more recent King Air 350 variant, we will simply ensure that the aft blower is off, the vent blower is on low, and the cabin temp dial is in the middle position. Static air source normal. Master panel and cabin lights as required. For now, master panel lights off and cabin lights off. Interior master off. Not applicable in this King Air 350 variant. Voltmeter battery check. 23 volts minimum. See about 24. Voltmeter other positions check. 0 volts. Battery switch on. Voltmeter, triple fed bus check, 1 less than the battery. The reason why we should see 1 less than the battery is because there is a diode, or in layman's term a check valve, that runs between the battery and the triple fed bus, taking away 1 volt. However, I don't think AirfoilLabs managed to simulate this. We'll consider this complete. Voltmeter left and right gen check, 0 volts. Voltmeter center bus check, same as the battery. That looks good. Gen ties, man close. Voltmeter left and right gen check, same as the battery. And that's because we just manually closed the bus ties, distributing the 24 volts across the entire system. Avionics master power on. Aircraft database status check. If you are running the FMS version, you can go ahead and check the status and the dates, make sure they are current. And Avionics master power off. Landing gear, left, right, nose illuminated. Annunciators, test. Fuel quantity, main and aux, check. The default position is main. Press down to select the aux quantity. Alright, next is the fuel system check. Firewall fuel valves closed, left and right. Left and right. We should see the left and right extinguisher push and close illuminated on both sides, which we do. Standby pumps on the fuel panel to on, left and right. The left and right fuel pressure low lights should remain illuminated. Next we will go to firewall fuel valves to open. So we'll push back to open. And now the left fuel and right fuel pressure low lights are extinguished. Back to the fuel panel, standby pumps to off. And now the left and right fuel pressure low lights should illuminate. Right, next is the crossfeed check. We'll go to the left. We should see the fuel crossfeed light down here on the annunciator panel. And the left and right fuel pressure low lights should extinguish. However, I do see a right fuel pressure low light still illuminated. I don't have system failures enabled, so I think this is a bug. We'll consider that complete for the purposes of the video. We'll go back to off in the crossfeed. Lights come back on, crossfeed's off. We'll go right crossfeed, fuel crossfeed down on the annunciator panel, and the same thing, the left and right fuel pressure low lights should remain extinguished. However, I do have the left side is on. Again, I think that's a bug, not a big deal. Fuel crossfeed back to off. And last is the fuel quantity test. We'll hold the fuel quantity in the test position, and we should see the left and right fuel quantity lights illuminate on the annunciator panel. And I do see those, so that's a good test. And that is it for the fuel system check. Alright, back down to the pilot subpanel. We'll test the HDLT test. Should see a red light, that's good. Hydraulic fluid sensor test. Should see the hydraulic fluid low light annunciator, that's good. Back to the co-pilot subpanel. We'll check the cabin alt and diff test. First is the cabin alt warning test. We should see cabin alt high red up high and cabin altitude in white on the lower annunciator panel, along with an RL tone. Alright, that checks, and then we'll flip the switch down to cabin differential, and up high we should see the cabin differential high along with a master warning light. Next is the stall and landing gear warning test. Two separate tones. First will be the stall warning test, a higher pitched tone. That checks, and then the landing gear warning test is a pulsing tone, and we should see this landing gear handle turn red as well. Alright, that checks. And the last test is the left and right engine fire detection and extinguishing test using these two switches. We'll flip them up for detection So left side, we should see the engine fire light and master warning illuminate. We'll cancel the master warning. Right side, engine fire light illuminate and master warning. We'll flip the switches down for the extinguishing test. We do see the extinguisher push and discharge light and the master warning. And on the right side, extinguisher push and discharge, master warning. Those tests are good. And finishing the checklist, battery set, leave it on or off as desired. If you go right into the engine start, I would just leave it on. Typically in the real world, we're 20 to 30 minutes out from departure at this point, so we may pick up our ATIS, clearance, and set up the box as needed, and then turn it off and run inside. External power as required. We don't have a GPU connected, so the switch is in the off position. And the last item is the external preflight. We'll consider that complete for this video. Alright, thanks for watching. As always, please leave your questions and comments below. Take care.